A lot of people are capable at work. They're smart, they work hard, and they have great ideas. But that alone isn't what determines who gets hired, promoted, or even fired. The first skill that really matters is the ability to complete. The ability to complete underpins everything else that happens inside of a business. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. A lot of people can turn up to work every single day and work on a particular project, but rarely can they complete it. If you can show an employer, either a potential one or an existing one, that you have the ability to complete tasks, it will push you ahead when it comes to getting a job or getting promoted. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can put it on your resume and provide examples of when you've had a large project or task and how you managed to complete it in a timely manner. Because that's the other side of this here. It's not just that you're able to finish it, but it's that you're able to finish it on time. Sometimes this can involve people management skills. A lot of big projects don't rely on one person entirely, so you might be required to obtain information, data, or feedback from other people, and that can be complicated. But if you can do that and then show that on your resume or in an interview verbally, then it will push you ahead. And it's also something to consider in your day-to-day work. Am I just working on things? Am I just going around on a never-ending rat wheel, or am I actually pushing projects forward and finishing them and marking them complete before taking my next one on? This isn't about laziness or incompetence. It's simply about the fact that starting work is common and completion is rare and valuable. We can often work on things and we think they're good, but we're worried that they're not. It can be perfectionism, a fear of feedback, or even imposter syndrome. But regardless of how we feel about our work, if we've done the best we can, then it's important to push it up the line and learn that skill of completion. At the end of the day, every job is about producing, but it's not about producing work, it's about producing outcomes. The second skill is judgment and prioritization. This links strongly back to our ability to complete. Because to complete anything, you have to be able to judge and make decisions on what is good enough. What matters most? What is more urgent or important? What do I need to be working on now and finishing first before I do the next thing? And also deciding what gets left out. It can be easy to constantly add to a project without finishing it because we think more and more is needed, when in many cases less is better, as long as it's the stuff that matters most. When you aren't able to prioritize clearly, then completion disappears completely. If every day feels busy and endless, and that you're moving from one task to the other and constantly being inundated with new things, it's hard to see what should be done first, let alone doing it. You can't finish everything, and it's more important to finish the right thing than it is to work on more things. You want to highlight that you have this skill. This isn't about time management and making lots of to-do lists for yourself and ticking things off. This is about judgment decisions and making clear priorities for yourself, removing the noise and having a clear picture. The third skill is communicating clearly. Because you can prioritize work, complete your projects, but all of that is meaningless if you can't communicate the outcomes clearly. Clear communication makes work usable and valuable. That can be verbally, visually, and written. It's important to cross that whole spectrum when it comes to communicating clearly. Most people on earth can't stand public speaking, but it's still important to develop that skill to be able to stand up in front of people, whether it's physically in a room or online using your webcam. It's important that you can clearly speak when you know people are listening to you. The more you know your topic, the easier it is to speak. And the same goes for writing. One of the most valuable skills you can have now is being able to compile a whole pile of information and then communicate it back clearly, simply, and very quickly. That goes for written reports, emails, simple notes. And that can translate into visual formats as well. If you've ever sat in a presentation and they've put a graph up and you've spent most of the time looking at that graph trying to figure out what it says instead of listening to the person talk, you'll know what a bad visual representation of information is. Whereas something like an infographic can help you communicate it more clearly. So communicating clearly is a broad skill that has three main targets: verbal, visual, and written. In most workplaces, the written format will be the most common and the most important. And it can be easy to think that this skill no longer matters because of AI and things like ChatGPT. The problem is most of those are just large language-based models. They can put words together that they see fit together often in terms of their programming. So if they've seen the same words together before, they think they go together again. It doesn't mean that they get it right, and it doesn't mean that they communicate effectively. In general, what they do is add fluff words. fluff content that just fills space and means nothing. And that is the opposite of what communicating clearly is. Work isn't complete until someone else can see it and understand it. So what's the point? Most workplaces don't struggle with people working hard or having ideas. They struggle with the work getting done. The ability to complete work, prioritize what matters, and communicate outcomes clearly is what makes you indispensable.